Hello and welcome back everyone. This is Dosashi and I'm here for another tier video where I will be ranking the terminal ads, and since like a couple of patches ago they have changed quite a lot of these terminal ads and increased its total number. So as you can see, there's quite a bunch down here. So let's just go through it and I will be grading them based on their usefulness. And I think I will grade them higher the more widely applicable they are and the more niche they are. So the more selective or the more dependent on certain situations, they will be graded lower. Uh, Please be aware, like any other ranking video, this is just my opinion, a collection of my opinions based on almost, I think, about a year of playing Super Mecha Champions on mobile. And if you agree or disagree or have other comments to leave, feel free to do so in the comments below. And yeah, so these are my opinions. They can differ from yours. It's all fine. And I hope you will learn something here. So let's start with the first one on the list. These are not categorized in any order, just in the order that I found them because I had to take pictures in game and then cut it out, and because I could not find this anywhere else. The first one, Savage Growth. For 2 seconds after using a combat skill, plus 12% damage. That's a solid burst of damage that you get after using a combat skill, and usually after using a combat skill, I'll be shooting. So I think this one is specifically good on, no, just in general. Extra damage, basic, almost for free. I think A plus is a good start for this one. Then we move on to Eye for an Eye. When damage is dealt to you, gain 10% damage bonus against the attacker for 5 seconds once every 1 minute. So here, this one is becoming more selective than the one above. So it's a 10% damage. So that's the first if you have to be damaging the person or the person that's damaging you. So that's two ifs actually already. So first of all, you need to be damaged. Then the person that damaged you, you need to damage. And then also once every 5 minutes, 5 seconds is good, but once every minute, so 5 seconds per minute at max is actually not that great. I do pick this one quite a lot, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's that great. Then we move on to one of the new ones. I have to look it up because this is a bit too tiny for me to read. I have it on my phone here as well. Upright. Yeah, one of the new ones. I think this one is amazing. It's a cool addition to the terminal ads. What does it do? Upright. Automatically detects enemies within 200 meters when calling a mecha. Detected enemies will also see your location. So the last part is, you could see it as a downside, which it is, I think, but the upside of having detection of enemies within 200 meters is quite a big range actually. It functions similar to those items that you can find, but only on some specific map rotations. But now you can just have it on your terminal, and it opens up a lot of new tactical possibilities where you just demech, you get out of your mech after combat, do some looting, and then get back into your mech to see if the enemy is nearby. I think this one is an easy S plus. Then we move on to Strike Back. Okay, Strike Back. When ammo for mecha drops below 40%, damage for primary weapon increases by 10%. So this is pretty good, um, especially on mecha with lower ammo capacities. I'm thinking of, for example, Andromeda, or maybe even Skylark also. Actually, to be honest, I think this one would work on a lot of different mecha because also on Firefox or Hurricane, if you're shooting a lot and you want to be continuously shooting or Neutron Star, you just get a damage bonus after your mecha ammo drops below 40%. I think this one is really good. Usually I pick it. Um, yeah, the only reason why it's not S plus is S plus the upright works on every mecha or every loadout. Just to be sure, these terminals are not only effective for mecha, um, but the strike back is specifically only for synergizes with mecha, and it does not work on, for example, Raven or Arthur because you don't have ammo. And I think nowadays also Skyfall. So that's why it's a little bit lower. But if you're not playing those mecha, I think it's a really good one to pick. Exploder Bot Party. Generate 4 Exploder Bots on the spot when the mecha is destroyed. And like I said in the other ranking videos, this is one of those things that on paper is pretty good, but if you think about it, it's actually not that great because the if trigger um, is that your mecha has to be destroyed first. And if you play well, you actually don't, this will never do anything for you. So only if you get destroyed, this will trigger. And then it's 4 of those exploder bots which are easily uh, avoided. You can just dash away or shoot them, and on one shot they are just gone, even with like a SMG. Um, so actually, I would almost never choose this, even lower than that one. Yeah, I would only choose this if it's like late, super late game, and I come across a third terminal slot, and it's still better than having nothing. If you didn't fill up your terminals already. But if it's like earlier or mid game, I would not waste a terminal slot to have this. I would actually just skip it. Let's see here. Killing machine. There we go. Cool little art. Mecha's primary weapon gains plus 0.8% damage for 1.5 seconds, up to 10 times. So that could be up to 8% when scoring a hit. So this one I notice is really good with fast shooting mecha because it stacks itself really quickly. It gets really quickly till until the 10, and it's actually really good. Let me see compared to the other one. Yeah, I think it's equally good as the strike back because it just happens kind of automatically. I think it's slightly better even than strike back because here you just have to be continuously shooting. It is true that mecha that are not continuously shooting like a Raven or something benefits less from it, but then again, those shots are heavier, hitting heavier, so then the difference is also more noticeable. So I think also on the slower shooting mecha, like Raven or Snow Mirage, or the rockets on Trio, I think that this is good. I would definitely pick it if I come across it. Moving on to the instant recharge, I usually pick this. Um, but now that I look at it compared to the rest, so what does it do? Instant recharge, when durability is below 15%, regenerate shield to full once every 2 minutes. So the reason why I usually pick this is if you're brawling, if you're team fighting, and then your mecha, there's a big chance it will drop below 15. Um, the sudden shield, especially for mecha with a big shield like Hurricane and Neutron Star, and Jojo, I think also has a pretty substantial shield. Or if you build your mecha to have a bigger shield, this gets really good because suddenly you have like 2 or 3, or sometimes even 400 extra HP. And I think that can totally turn the tide of a battle. Uh, and so, but even though I always pick this one, I do have to rank it a little bit lower because of what I said earlier. It's one of those defensive things that will not always trigger, but when it triggers, it's really useful. And once every 2 minutes, I never really noticed as a bad thing. Uh, I was always happy when it did trigger, and also always annoying when it triggers on an enemy mecha. But if you're playing really well and you're just outplaying everyone, it does basically nothing for you. So that's why I think these three are better than this, because these three will always do something for you. Okay, moving on to it's so tiny. um, it's this one. I have it here. Incremental hardening. +2 max durability for every ace badge picked up thereafter. So this one is even below B. I always skip it. There's only sometimes on a map you can pick up those ace badges. Most of the times you cannot. So that's already a big downside of picking up this terminal ad. Then the second downside of it is that it's only after you have picked up the terminal ad. So it doesn't work retroactively. It doesn't. So for example, if you already picked up, I don't know, 20 of those ace badges, and then pick this up, those 20 before don't count, which is really bad. And also, to be honest, the +2 per ace badge is not that great because on the maps where there are ace badges, it's so +2. Let's say you pick up 50 of those, so you get 100 extra durability. I don't think that's worth it for all the effort you have to go through. Um, yeah, I don't think that's so great. Okay, moving on to the next one. Lightning switch. -40% cooldown to call mecha again after a voluntary exit. So I do think this one synergizes pretty well with Upright, because then you can abuse that mechanic of sensing your enemies nearby more frequently and more easily. But on it, so it really needs the other one. Otherwise, I think it's um, pretty bad actually. I've never picked this one. Only like the thing is also it's after a voluntary exit, so only if you decide yourself to leave it. It would have been a great terminal ad if it's a cooldown reduction after you got demaxed. That would be amazing, but that unfortunately does not exist. Um, of course, you can use this and then maybe summon a different mecha if you have the item for that. But that's a lot of ifs, and in general, I think if there's a lot of ifs involved, um, it becomes very situational, and the more situational, the better. No, the worse, not the better, but the worse. That's proper English. Let's keep it understandable. So yeah, it's not a good one. Then this one got nerfed. Fairy Instinct. It got nerfed on the last patch. It used to be 4% difference, but now it's 3%. So what does it do? Fairy Instinct plus 3% mecha movement speed. Already amazing. Then -3% tactical skill cooldown, and 2 times this bonus in ace time. So that's in ace time is 6% mecha increased speed and -6% tactical skill cooldown. This one is a solid S plus. Before this patch where it introduced more terminal ads, I always picked Fury Instinct when I encountered it, and I still do. It's just a flat um, mecha increase. Every single mecha will get better with this one. You will have a more smooth um, um, time piloting your mecha. So yeah, heartily recommend it. Yeah, I will wholeheartedly recommend this one to pick when you encounter it. There's just no downsides. It's only upsides. Homogenizing siphon is the next one. And that one says regenerate 10% max durability after destroying a mecha. So this is another one that's really solid. I think it's better than these two because these two, um, actually, now that I look at it, I think the Savage Growth is just as good as the other ones because it will always give you something. Let me just add it there to keep it chronologically. And I think this one can be next to this one because they are situational. First, you have to, with this one, almost die, and with this one, you have to actually take down another mecha. And if you do that, it's really good. But if you don't, it doesn't do anything for you. And these three, or these five actually up here, S and higher, uh, will always do something for you. So that's why I placed the Savage Growth higher there and these two just below. I think they're if I encounter any of these five, and only have three slots, I will take three of these. But if I don't, and I encounter one of these, I will definitely take this. It's a very solid pick. All right, moving on to burst shots. I'll place it here for now. Burst shot says after reloading, plus 12% damage to the first shot fired. So obviously this one does not work on mecha that don't reload, like Skyfall, um, Arthur. What was the other one that I just mentioned? Raven. And maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, those are the ones that don't reload. But on all the other ones, yeah, it does something. I do think this one works best at the slow firing mecha, or at least like the mecha that deal big damage per shot. So, for example, a Snow Mirage or a um, Gabriel, maybe even Andromeda, or yeah, she does reload. So yeah, it's not bad, but it's pretty situational and it doesn't work on every mecha. So for that reason, Eye for an Eye. Let me see. Yeah, I think this one, Eye for an Eye, is more situational. On the mecha that this one does work on, it's pretty good. But if you are playing Arthur, it's useless. If you're playing Firefox, it's pretty useless because plus 12% on one extra shot after reloading is just not worth it. Trio, not really good unless you're shooting a rocket. So it's a lot of ifs. So I think only on the mecha that have big hitting single shots. So like a Gabriel. But even then, even on a Gabriel, I would much rather have any of the others above. So yeah, it's okay. It's an okay one. Um, let's see. Moving on to the next one. Oh, this is one of the new ones also. Armor piercing ammo increases rifle using pilots damage versus mecha by 40%. So that's a very substantial increase of the damage. But in my experience, you never want to be using your rifle against a mecha. And even if it's increased by 40%, it's still, I tried it, it's still not good. Um, I would recommend to never pick this one actually. So normally B is not really bad in my rankings. With some of these, yeah, these are not equal. So I think the Explodobot party is definitely better than the rifle one, or the or this one. Yeah, no, I think all four of them are not that great. So the next terminal ad that I have on the list here is called Race Against Time, and it says all items take 30% less time to activate. And I think this is a really good one. Maybe even S plus. Let's take a look at this. So it only has upsides. That's one thing. It works on every mecha, and on top of that, it also works when you're not in a mecha. So actually, I think this is S plus because this counts for your trampoline, jump pads, your healing items, your regeneration items for mecha and for pilots, um, everything that has an activation time, summoning a skateboard, everything gets quicker. So I don't see the downside of this one. I think it's an amazing terminal ad, and I always pick it when I come across it. So yeah, these three, if I have a game when I can have these three, I'm very happy. It has never happened, but because there's so much variance going. But yeah, I think Race Against Time is an auto pick if I choose it. But now the interesting question arises: what if, because there's a chance, what if I get these three uh, in a terminal selection screen? Then I think first I will pick Fury Instinct because from the three I think that one is the best. Then Upright and then Race Against Time in that order I think for now. Let's see if we come across more terminal ads that are fitting in the terminal ads ranking in the S plus. The next one on the list is New Frontier. Automatically detect enemies within 300 meters for 10 seconds after opening an airdrop. So, the effect is really good. Automatically detecting enemies within 300 meters for 10 seconds. That's a long time. So, I do think it's a really good effect. But those airdrops, on average, I think I open one every 2 games. That's like a rough estimation of the average opening. So that's not a good rate to be able to trigger this. So it's very situational. When you do, if for example, if I see 2 airdrops on the map nearby and I find this terminal ad, I might take it. Otherwise, I will not take it. So it is a good effect, but actually, let me see here. The eye for an eye is better than this, I think. So yeah, even though the effect is so good, the situation or the trigger to get it is just too situational for my liking. Okay, this is another oldie, Swift Chameleon. I have not used it so often, but I do think it's relatively good. Um, Swift Chameleon says plus 20% ejection velocity, plus invisible parachute trail when mecha explodes. So again, a pretty good effect. So you are faster, a little bit like Yutong's passive pilot ability. And having the invisible parachute trail is very useful. It's actually really good. But the downside is again, you first have to get your mecha destroyed. And in general, you don't want that. So for that reason, I think this one is not that great. If it triggers, it's pretty good. I do think it's better than the other ones. Definitely better than the 4 exploding bots because the 4 exploding bots can just be avoided very easily. When this happens, it's a good effect. Um, it's just too reactionary, I would say. Um, Moving on to Crazy Doll. For every player defeated, gain point, 0.8% damage bonus up to 7 times. So that's like 5% damage bonus, 5.5. If you have killed 7 enemy players. And on average, if I get into the top 10, I do think I have easily make 7 kills. Yeah, between 5 and 15, I would say is the rough average kills. So that would max this out, and it's just an extra damage. And the nice thing about this one is that it's damage that's unrelated to mecha and pilots. So it's just damage in general. So I do think it's pretty good. This one will always do something for you. It's not the biggest damage increase, but it's not limited to a certain time or a certain trigger. It will always do something for you. And it also works based on the wording. it also works retroactively. So it does not say for every player defeated thereafter. It says for every player defeated. So that implies to me that it also counts the players that you have already defeated in the past before picking this up. So I think it's a really solid pick. It will always do something for you. And why is it not with those? Yeah, I think the percentage is too low to be S plus. If it would have been 10% total, so like that it stacks up to 10 times and every increase is 1% extra damage, then I would be S plus. But I think now solid S, definitely. This one, Force Fortress. When Mecha is not moving, it's also one of those oldies. When Mecha is not moving, get plus 3.5% damage bonus per second, up to 3 times per second. Okay, up to 3 times. So that can be like roughly a 10% damage bonus, but when the mecha is not moving. So there's a couple of stationary mecha where this would work well with per second. Yeah, so if you stay still for 3 seconds, you have like 10% damage. This is really good on Gabriel and Snow Mirage if you're stationary and if you're sniping people and camping. It's also really good on Arthur because Arthur, when it shoots, it's not moving. I'm not sure if it also counts on Raven because when Raven is kind of like descending and hanging in the air, if that counts as moving or not. I mean, you are moving usually, so yeah, I think only those two snipers and maybe a Boltus. Not really sure about that one. So yeah, the effect is really strong, but it only works on a few mecha. Really strong effect, only works on a few mecha, but then it works really well. So I will place it next to the burst shot. It's interesting because the same mecha actually benefit from these two effects. No, not fully. Only Gabriel and Snow Mirage. But all the other mecha are not really benefiting so much from it because you want to be moving non-stop with most other mecha. Moving on to Never Give Up. The mecha will not drop modules when destroyed. So another one that says when destroyed. However, I will rank it higher than the other ones because I do tend to pick this one more often, but only in the late game. So when I have like a core 1 or a core 2 and it synergizes perfectly with my playstyle, then I also pick this one for two reasons. One is I don't want to lose my stuff when I get destroyed. But at the same time, I don't want to give my stuff to someone else after I get destroyed. So at the same time, you're protecting yourself and you're uh, disabling someone else to benefit extra from taking you down. So, and this also works when your pilot dies after that. So this has a more substantial effect for your squad compared to the other ones. So it's more from a tactical perspective, I think, a strategic perspective. I think that this is more beneficial as a uh, yeah, like an insurance kind of to make sure that your squad can still be going, or yourself if you manage to get away from the mecha as a pilot, to protect your stuff and not lose it. But I only pick this, so I will put it lower because I only pick this when I'm ahead and I'm reaching the top 10. Otherwise, I don't think I will pick this. But it does work on every mecha basically. Just yeah, protects your loot. Um, the next one is a new one, Vengeance. For 30 seconds after your mecha is destroyed, increases your damage versus mecha or pilot that destroyed your mecha by 20%. So, 20% increase. Sounds really good, right? 30 seconds, pretty long time, okay. But why is it then only the I get it, it's called vengeance. So but still from a mechanic perspective it's really not great that you only have this damage increase against the one person that took you down. So first of all you have to know who that was, you don't always do, and second of all you actually have to chase them to be able to utilize this. So it's such a niche situation where this is relevant, because most of the times when I'm being taken out, I'm trying to flee actually, and to retreat instead of continuously engage. That's more like an exception, where I think I'm sure I can take them down, and this could definitely help you out with that. But I think it's too tricky and too situational. Um, Wait, strike back we already had, right? Yeah, that one is double. So can I just remove that or something? No. Well, we will just ignore it. Apparently, I have a double in here. Savage growth, the same. Infighting. This is something that we didn't see yet. Also a new one. And I'm a bit confused by this one. So infighting says increases your damage versus the same type of mecha by 15%. Increases your damage taken from the same type of mecha by 10%. So it's like a 5% trade off, you could say, which is not a good rate. I, I don't know why they added a second clause here. But the thing that confuses me is what is the same type of mecha? Do they mean like a hit and run? So, for example, if you're piloting Ranger and you deal damage to I don't even know this by heart. So yeah, a ranger versus a neutron star, for example. I think they both classify as hit and run. So would it mean that the ranger, they both, so the ranger does more, 15% more damage, but also takes 10% more damage? That really doesn't sound great. Or what do we have? Like a raven versus a Gabriel, like sniper versus sniper, or a hot steel. I think that one has burst versus a, what is another burst one? Ventorus, I think also has burst. So yeah, this one I think is tricky. The effect is not great, and you do need a lot of meta knowledge. You do need to know, hey, what is my type, or which types are my mecha. Usually it's two. I think it's always two actually. And which types are my enemy. It's, and then you also have to encounter them. It's really situational, and therefore I don't think that great. This, okay. It's so many. Apparently, I had some doubles. Swift Chameleon we also already had. This one we didn't have yet. The anti-artillery shield. Let's see. Damage from attacks more than 50 meters away against the mecha is reduced by 10%. Okay, but damage from attacks within 50 meter is increased by 5%. So again, this is one that is relatively okay for a longer range mecha, but in general, I would never choose it, um, because even on the snipers, I mean, people are not really gonna shoot you back. They when you're a great Gabriel on top of a tower, they're gonna try to get closer to you and force you to relocate. Um, yeah, and this trade-off of then also getting more damage whenever someone does get close to you. Again, it's a 5% difference, just like the other one. Yeah, no, I don't think it does enough. And plus 10% is also not so much. And it's too situational. Doesn't Most mecha don't benefit from this at all. Especially in my preferred playstyle, which is more like mid to close range brawling. Yeah, I think I never picked this one. Never have in the past year. So that also says something, I guess. Um, Lightning switch we had. This is, I think, a new one also. Perfectionism increases attack by 10% when the mecha's armor and durability are full. Now, That is something that does happen. 10% is pretty substantial, especially on the bigger bullet kind of mecha. So again, the Snow Mirage, the Gabriel. So it fits in that category that if it's good, but otherwise not great. Because it only works when your armor and durability are full. So as long as the enemy has not seen you and not found you, this is great. Otherwise, it, it literally does nothing. So actually, I think the other two are better. Also situational, but better. Um, yeah, it's a B plus. I think it's not terrible, but it's only if you have a lot of healing items, then it's actually solid. Um, and if you manage to stay out of sight, I can imagine that this also works really well on Akashik, the new mecha where you just sneak in, jump over a building, destroy someone, and get out again. I think that could work. And then heal up before you engage again. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one. This. Okay, okay. We also had that one already. This one. Additional clip. Another new one, and I will place it here immediately because I think it's really poor design. Weapon clip capacity +1 for pilots that use projectile weapons slash launchers. +1. So, okay, if you have a rocket launcher, you get an extra rocket. That's good actually on the rocket, but on every other launcher like the sensory mine, get a third one. Okay, you can do a bit more burst damage. The grenades launcher. You know, it does allow you to um, take down mecha more easily, but it only has an effect when you're in the pilot mode, so it doesn't do anything for your mecha. So for that reason alone, I think this is not great. Having an extra rocket in your rocket launcher or homing missile, whatever it's called, sounds great, but not good enough to pick this one over most of the others. Um, then we have the energy fields. This one I also pick quite a lot. It just gives you some extra durability usually, especially if you combine it with the rejuvenating item. The repair kit, I think it's called, the blue one that heals durability over time. So what does it say? Energy field. The mecha converts regeneration above max durability into temporary shield up to 30% of its maximum durability. This 30% of your maximum shield you get as a bonus on top of. So you get the second shield basically. If you heal, if you overheal yourself. And it doesn't say how long this temporary shield lasts, but in my experience, it lasts long enough for it to be useful. And I will just place it right next to the other defensive uh, uh, terminal ads because it works on every single mecha, but you are required to have the right amount of healing items. If you play well, you will have it, but you don't always fully control that. Um, so it's a bit more situational. Mm, I do usually pick it if I see it. Yeah, if I would have a loadout with these three, that's a good game for me. Then I'm really happy with it. Or one of these and one of these, and then maybe even one of these. So I think everything A and above is really good all round in this tier list. And B plus gets really situational and more like a last resort kind of thing. And a B, I just don't pick in this list. So yeah, I think the energy field fits in the A plus category. Then we have another new one, Wave of Recovery. The time for the mecha's first respawn and recall is reduced by 20%. So it's only the first respawn and recall. It is much better than the other one that only works with voluntary. Wait a minute. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Did I lose it now? Oh, here it is. Wow. I just missed it. Sorry for that. Wave of recovery. But only the first time. 20% is pretty good. I would have loved it to be 50%, for example. Then it's amazing. I think I will put it here. It's good. It's only good if you haven't already been destroyed once before. Um, yeah, so if I'm in a late game and if I haven't been destroyed yet, and it's before ace time, so it's already a lot of ifs, and I have a third slot to fill, and I'm in the top 10. Uh, Usually then it's already ace time, but let's say top 20, then this can be useful as a last pick. But then you would, yeah. If this is the last pick, then I was unlucky in finding a better one. So yeah, B plus fits it, I think. Valor is another new one. Let's see, what does it do? Increases your attack by 10%, same like the other one. When your mecha's armor is 0 and durability is lower than 15%. So this is a lot of ifs, and then at that state, so you have to be almost dead. I much rather have the shield. The shield is super useful because especially with Neutron Star Hurricane, you get a very big shield back. Or Jojo. But the 10% extra damage is just not enough. It's it's better than all of these. That's why I'll put it here. Um, yeah, I think that's about right. Okay, we're almost there. Um, I think Witness is an oldie, and I have picked it a couple of times just to try it out, but my conclusion was to never pick it again. Witness, plus 20% auto aim range for all of the pilot's firearms. It's kind of like a cheat in a way. Well, it's not a cheat because it's in the game, but so you get extra range on the auto aim for the firearms. It's first of all, it's not for your mecha; it's only for the pilot. Second of all, your aim will improve over time if you just play the game. So having the extra range for the auto aim, if you need the extra range for the auto aim, I would much rather use the scope of the weapon to manually aim. So, no thank you. I think this is a terrible terminal ad. Then we have Unity, and I think that's the last one. Yeah, because this one we already covered. So, sorry for the messy part underneath. I missed that I had some doubles. So Unity says increases your mecha's movement speed, damage, and defense by 5% if it is piloted by its exclusive pilot. And I think even though it's situational, so you would have to have, for example, Jiu Chong while piloting Venturus, or Ivan while piloting Hot Steel, Rom while piloting Arthur, Vita, Hurricane, etc., etc. But when you do, I mean, first of all, you get a flavor win, that's already nice. But mechanically speaking, when you do, this is actually a really solid pick. So most of the times this is not relevant. So most of the times it's right down here in the B. But if you are piloting your exclusive pilot, using the exclusive pilot for the mecha, then it's actually pretty solid because 5% extra speed is more than Fury Instinct. Um, and 5% extra damage and defense just flat without any other um, situations that first need to occur. I think this is a really good effect and a really lovely design. So, and yeah, I would, if some of the designers are watching and hearing this, I think this is great design, and I would love to see more terminal ads changed into something like this because it's a really good static effect, and the trigger you have control over before the game starts. So you can already build your loadout in such a way before the game starts to allow yourself to utilize the effect fully of this one. And otherwise, it does nothing. But I think that's an interesting choice to have as a gamer and as a pilot. So yeah, it turned out to be quite the video because there were quite some terminal ads to cover. I hope I covered all of them. I do think so. If I missed some, please let me know, and I will still add it in the comments. And if not, thanks for watching. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you learned something. And I will see you all in the next game. Have a beautiful day, and peace out.